Welcome into Wednesday's edition of The Big Show on your Total Sports Station, KTGR. Andy Humphrey here. Brendan Schaefer not here today. Unfortunately, it's all right. He'll be back soon. But running solo today on a Wednesday as we get closer to the NCAA tournament and Mizzou's game in it. Technically, it's already started. Pretty fun games last night. The nightcap was certainly one to be notable about with the way the league kind of changed hands towards the end. But we'll talk about more Mizzou with Gabe DeArmond of PowerMizzou.com. He'll be here at 4:25 to chat with us about their matchup with Miami in St. Louis. We do need to get to some Cardinals thoughts. Seems the rotation is solidified, and some key Royals stepping up for Team Venezuela yesterday to deliver them the championship over the United States in the World Baseball Classic. Can this be a jumping off point for a few of those Royals? And my gosh, what does Team USA have to do to get over the hump in this championship? We're going to get to all of that. We want your thoughts on it all. Text us at 875-KTGR. Let's get to this first.
Now, the Big Show's Big Deal.
Look, last night was an encapsulation of just wanting it more. And Team Venezuela embodied that in the truest sense. Got out on the board early, and then when the United States had a counterpunch late in the game, they weren't rattled. Good job by Eugenio Suarez to have a great at-bat to send home a run and allow Venezuela to close out a 3-2 victory in the World Baseball Classic. And look, they just seemed to be having a lot more fun than Team USA was just to be there. And I think that matters. I think body language is a huge part of these types of tournaments. It was very clear that the United States didn't have great body language at all during this tournament. It was still enough to get them to the end, but very clearly not enough to capture a championship that honestly should be theirs more often than not. And that is the Big Show's Big Deal on this 18th day of March 2026. Why don't we start there? Look, it is a foregone conclusion sometimes, or at least it should be, how the United States can perform in these settings, especially when it's the sport of baseball. And now everyone's going to be circling 2028 for the Olympics as to how this nation is going to show up there. But if it's any sort of semblance of what we saw over the last few weeks or so from this Team USA, I'm worried. I'm a little worried. Anybody really going to show any kind of fight out there? Bryce Harper seemed to. Thought Joe Davis had it pretty perfect when he called that home run. Better late than never. Had to happen at some point. But Bryce Harper was able to provide that jolt. Several players on Team USA just did not. And that appears to be it's not just a one-player problem. Like, you could pinpoint it to players like Aaron Judge, who was, again, not good in a big moment and could not deliver for his team when he's the captain. Like, come on, man. When are you going to show up there? Both for your country and also for your big league club. It just seems that there was never that sense of, oh, we're here and we're gonna approach this the way that everybody else is. Clearly they didn't. And whether they wanted to approach it that way, very businesslike, say we're the ones that are supposed to be here, we're the ones that should advance every single time, when in reality, you needed Italy to really pour on the runs in order for you to do so in the group play. But that was a much different approach than every other team, all 29 other countries in this World Baseball Classic took. Should the United States take note? It's a fair question. You tell us what you think. 573-875-KTGR if you want to weigh in on the World Baseball Classic and several Royals that were involved in it. Michael Garcia, the MVP of the WBC. Again, I keep getting, just validated each and every day that Michael Garcia keeps playing baseball and Jazz Chisholm keeps playing not as good baseball as Michael Garcia. I'm just saying. Jazz Chisholm was in this event as well for Team England. How'd it go? How'd it go over there, Jazz? Michael Garcia should have been named an all-star over you at first in last year's all-star game. I know Garcia eventually got there. Whatever. Should have been rectified from the beginning. Should have never happened the way that it did. But to me, back to the United States part of it, like, okay, you're going to treat this as if you clearly have the best players. You're clearly going to have the approach that is going to be better than everybody else. It seems if you just go out and you treat everything like a business trip and you don't show emotion and you don't try to let that drive your play a little bit when you're playing for your country. But everybody else in this tournament, like, they may not have been as talented enough as Team USA to hang with them in that sense, but they made up for it with the fact that they wanted it more. Like, I don't even think the United States, like, they finished second in this tournament again. I'm not so sure that if you ranked the teams as to how much they really wanted it, that the United States would crack the top 5. I really question that based on how they went through this event. Again, it seems. Now, not last year, but 3 years ago, they had some good moments, and they did well to get to the game against Japan. And look, when Shohei Ohtani plays the way that he does for Team Japan, and that team played like a true team, it was going to be hard to beat. And we got the matchup at the very end of Trout and Ohtani that will live on for ages. But this tournament, clearly Venezuela had the mantra of, okay, we're the underdogs. We don't care. We're going to go out there and play better than this team that is, honestly, maybe a little bit better talent-wise than ours is, even though Venezuela's lineup stacked. In fact, Luis Ariz had, you could maybe argue, slightly better numbers than Michael Garcia. He maybe deserved MVP consideration as well. But Garcia, because he did something in that championship game, I think that put him over the top. He opened up the scoring by bringing in his teammate, Salvador Perez, on a sac fly and giving Venezuela the lead very early on. So I think that factored in. And I think in every start that Michael Garcia made, he had an RBI, at least one, in every single game that he started for Venezuela in this tournament. So that was a team that, look, me watching, if I came in, you parachuted me in to my first ever baseball game, and I watched these two teams, and I watched how much fun Venezuela was having in a game that, look, they were winning for a good amount of it, but not by a whole lot. And there was a huge moment towards the end for Team USA that maybe deflated Venezuela a little bit. But all game long, vibes were a lot better on that side. And on the United States, it was just kind of like, no, we're not happy to be here. We want to just, take care of business here and go back and rejoin the teams that we actually care about. That's what it felt like. I'm not saying that it's the sentiment that all of those players had, and they can tell you all day long, and I'm not saying that they're lying to you when they say it, that they want to win this for their country, that it meant something to them, that team camaraderie was important. They all walked in with the hockey jerseys at the very beginning. Like, I'm not saying that they don't believe that in their hearts, that they wanted this a whole lot. But show it. That's all we're asking. Show that you wanted this more. Every team you faced, going to Venezuela, the Dominican Republic, Italy, even at times Canada, it seemed that when they were playing against you, they wanted it more. Mexico, you could also put in that group. First of all, Mark DeRosa can't manage this team anymore. Can't. No. That decision just won't happen. He said after the game, hey, I'd love to be back if they ask me back. I don't think whoever is in charge of putting together the United States roster and coaching staff, get somebody else. Get someone who actually has managed at the major league level. if you ask me. Or is a coach right now in the big league game. Maybe it doesn't have to be a manager. Like bench coaches can do this. Omar Lopez for Team Venezuela is the bench coach for the Astros, and so he did an excellent job. But someone who is on a full-time major league staff that can put people in the right spot, manage all the rules that you have to manage. I mean, assuming that it's still going to happen in March the next time, or maybe they decide to move when the tournament happens. So that way you're not trying to be careful with pitchers who are just trying to ramp up for the regular season. But it was clear from the jump that Mark DeRosa shouldn't be doing this anymore. Sorry. Like, you get to this stage, and again, you expect to win this championship, and for good reason. Sport originated here. Are Americans going to be proud of the team that they put on the field that keeps coming up short in these wars? You've got to put a team out there that folks can be proud of, that they want to turn on the television and watch every single time they're out there in this very short period of time before baseball starts. And I know there's still competition. There's basketball going on now with the NCAA tournament. It's hard to compete with this sports calendar section. Golf starting to ramp up, everything like that. Basketball, NBA, NHL. Like, in order to really get fans engaged into this, you've got to have a team that they're proud to watch. Was there really any moment in this tournament that you're saying, yeah, I'm really proud of this Team USA baseball team? Not very many, at least not in the knockout stages, right? I mean, they poured on runs against some opponents in pool play, but this was never a tournament that I turned on Team USA and I'm like, okay, these players look a little different playing for this team than they do for their major league squads day in and day out during the season. You see that, a different type of emotion and play style almost from every other country that was involved in this thing. And Venezuela ended up being the one that had the chops, that had the roster, that had the execution to be able to bounce Team USA at the time that they did last night. And so when you're a new fan of the game and you're watching these international competitions, you're like, it looks a lot more fun to be on Team Venezuela's side or the Dominican Republic or Italy or Japan, or how I want to follow those teams more than maybe the one for Team USA. And that's, to me, that's kind of sad, right? Because Team USA, if you're a baseball fan in this country, Team USA should be the absolute best and should embody everything that you're wanting to see out of your country's baseball team. This team never really showed that at most points during this tournament. So that's an issue. Like, if my kids, I've got two daughters, like that, and if they're anything like me, then they'll watch sports growing up and they're already kind of getting into it. And I don't know how much they like baseball yet, but if they start to like baseball, I would want them to watch less of what Team USA is doing and more of what the other teams they were playing were doing. Those teams are having fun. I want you to have fun when you're watching or maybe at some point playing this sport. Like, that's what I would point to. So that's an issue that Team USA has got to figure out in the baseball realm. And it might not be a problem that you fix with the next WBC. It might be something you have to fix a little bit sooner in the 2028 Olympics. If in fact, I'm not sure if they've officially said that Major League players will be able to do it, how they're going to situate that season in 2028. Of course, there's a lot that needs to be figured out in baseball between now and then with the CBA negotiations. But if we assume that they make it all work and the next big international baseball competition are the LA Olympics, and major league teams can't, or major league players can participate. They stretch out the All-Star break to let them do it. There's a lot that Team USA has to look inward about and say, how do we get the best team together? And not just a bunch of guys that are trying to be too safe before the season, don't actually care whether they win this thing or not. They just assume that they will because, hey, we're America. No, like, let's see how we can form these rosters and get the right coaching staff in here to put that mindset in them that, hey, this is important and you can treat it that way and instill some trust and some pride back into what Americans feel about this sport. So that's what I'm looking for next time for when Team USA takes the field and is going up against these other countries that honestly seemed to want it more throughout this whole tournament and eventually came back to bite the United States baseball team. You can call or text us at 573-875-KTGR. You can tell us what you thought about how the Royals will maybe look as the start of the season comes soon after what they did in this WBC. Let's go out to the KTGR hotline here. Hello, who's this?
Hey, this is Mike. I'm sorry, I probably dialed the wrong number, but I was just trying to find out why the baseball game isn't on.
You can find. You're asking for Mizzou baseball.
Yeah, Mizzou baseball.
Mizzou baseball. You can find on the KTGR app and at ktgr.com right now.
Okay, so it's not on the regular radio.
You can hear it on our online platforms, both on our website and on our app, for sure.
Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate the call here on the Big Show, KTGR and the KTGR app. And so, yeah, right now, Mizzou baseball taking on Kansas, border war. So flip over on the KTGR app and check that out right now. That was a postponed game from last night. They decided, you know what, let's not play when it's 35 degrees out, when the very next day is going to be 70. Jeez. I guess second winter, I hope, is done. Not to say that there won't be a third winter coming soon, but they decide, you know what, let's just wait less than 24 hours later so that second winter can pass, and now we can play in weather that's a little more suitable for baseball outdoors. So, yeah, Mizzou, Kansas, underway right now on the KTGR app and at ktgr.com. If you want to talk some WBC with us, 573-875-5847. And look, for the Royals, those were just awesome moments. They had several key moments throughout this World Baseball Classic. I mean, look, Bobby Witt, he hit pretty well at the plate. Not eye-popping numbers by any means. I think very much shined for his defense for Team USA in this game, as we saw throughout the tournament. But, man, the players for Venezuela, both Salvador Perez and Mikel Garcia, teaming up for the first run for Venezuela there. I know Luinder Avila, who very well could factor in as an interesting reliever, maybe even a starter down the line, who knows, but a high prospect in the Royals system, came in the the semifinal, and got 2 1/3 scoreless innings. Some exciting things that he could maybe build off of from this tournament. But very clearly you look at also, I mean, Garcia had an excellent tournament, and he's going to be so crucial to try and keep that mojo going for this Royals team that maybe can break out a little bit offensively, especially what you saw from the guys on Team Italy. I mean, both Jack Caglione and Vinny Pasquantino doing what they did was excellent to see at this stage. And look, could they have done those same things in spring training and we dismiss it away a little bit? Sure. But this was a little higher leverage, higher pressure. They're going up against big league pitchers mostly. Like, that's what impresses me the most. Honestly, the part about Caglione, for a guy who's as young as he is, and you're trying to see if he can stick as a big league pitcher, I think the fact that he walked more times than he struck out in this tournament, 5 walks to 4 strikeouts, I see that as a promising sign for a young kid like that. That was a bit of an issue, chasing stuff they didn't need to chase last year as a rookie. I don't know if he's technically still a rookie this year, how much service time he has, but if that year counted, or if he's still technically a rookie this year. But I'm encouraged by those signs from him. And hey, Pasquantino, maybe he's going to benefit from those fences being in a little bit at Kauffman Stadium. Let's go out to the KTGR hotline again. Hello, who's this?
This is Walt.
Walt, you're on the big show. What you got, my friend?
Hey, I noticed the same thing you noticed about the emotion with the with the World Baseball Classic.
Yeah.
I think it should make Major League Baseball a little nervous. You know, if there was a league or this happened more regularly, where these guys were playing for their country with that kind of emotion, that's much more compelling baseball for me to watch. I'm not suggesting it would ever challenge MLB, but I think it should make them a little nervous. You know, if we want guys to play with emotion and want to win, maybe we should get them out of the college ranks or the minor leagues. Those are my comments.
Yeah, appreciate the call, Walt, here on the Big Show, KTGR. I mean, the thing is, like, those other countries, like, the rest of the world has really caught up to talent-wise. Like, those countries, Venezuela is littered with major league players. It's almost all big leaguers. Same with the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico. That's even becoming more of the case with Japan, certainly for Italy. So, those players are already Major League Baseball players. I don't think there's a danger of a different league coming in and say, oh, yeah, well, we can start something else. No, like, Major League Baseball is a huge proprietor of the World Baseball Classic, so that's what you're going to see going forward. But look, as far as Team USA is concerned, yeah, you do have to look a little bit at what those teams were doing and how they were treating this event and think, why aren't you guys doing that? And to say that, well, we're going to have a different approach, we're going to be more business-like. Okay, well, it hasn't resulted in championships yet in that particular event. So if that matters to you, maybe you take notes a little bit. 875-KTGR if you want to call or text us. So yeah, it was great to see guys like Michael Garcia and Salvador Perez have moments yesterday that were key for their team, and Garcia named the MVP. We'll talk more about that. We'll talk more about the Cardinals coming up, but we will get to next some Mizzou talk as Mizzou prepares for late Friday night taking on Miami in St. Louis for their first round game in the NCAA tournament. Gabe DeArmond of PowerMizzou.com is going to join us next to discuss that here on The Big Show, KTGR and the KTGR app.
Follow The Big Show on Facebook, X, Instagram, and YouTube. And keep it here on your total sports station, KTGR.
This is Phil Fortaleza here with Mizzou Basketball's Anthony Robinson II and his mama Nisha, getting ready for the latest Sticklin' and Sticklin' injury law commercial.
Aunt, you got your line?
I got it, Mom.
Go ahead.
When sorry just doesn't cut it.
Call Sticklin' and Sticklin'.
Mom, that's my line.
At Sticklin' and Sticklin', all they do is personal injury.
Sticklin' and Sticklin'.
It's a slam dunk.
You've seen the trucks. You've heard the name, but there still seems to be some confusion. Huh? So let's settle this once and for all. Yes, Steve from Steve's Pest Control is a real guy.
Okay, sure. I'll believe in Steve when I see a termite riding a unicorn.
Time to squash those rumors, like Steve squashes spiders. Steve's Pest Control isn't some big corporate chain, and they're not some call center based in the land of make-believe. Steve's Pest Control is a locally owned, family-operated company. From ants to termites, bedbugs to wasps, Steve's crew handles it all with precision and a dash of Midwestern charm.
Hi, I'm Steve with Steve's Pest Control.
There it is, proof of Steve's existence. So don't waste your time calling the not-so-local guys and call your friends at Steve's Pest Control. Local, legendary, and 100% real.
We're going to solve your pest problem. I guarantee it.
Now you got a friend in the pest control business. Steve's Pest Control.
From elegant weddings to corporate lunches with flavor and flair, Courtyard by Marriott Columbia brings the party and the pros. It's the home of Main Event Catering. And with every event, you'll get an award-winning chef, full banquet staff, and drop-and-go options for any size crowd. And the event center holds up to 300 guests with 8 flexible rooms. If you need help, there's a Marriott certified wedding coordinator on staff too. Book now by calling 573-443-8000.
Hey, construction dude, congrats on the killer contract in Cape. Sweet. So, how are you going to get that Mongo crane down to the job site? Here's a haul of an idea. Just Google I-70 towing. They're Mid-Missouri's go-to crew for heavy equipment hauling, too. Semis, dozers, RVs, goosenecks, farm and construction stuff, school buses, boats, bring it. If you use it, they can move it. Call the team they think you'll really love to meet. i70towing.com. Goosenecks. Give me some long necks.
We're trying to save people money. Go.
What if we cut sandwiches into thirds instead of halves?
We could stop buying warranties and just hope.
What about switching our toilet paper to half ply?
You.
It doesn't take a terrible think tank to save money. Just shop at Family Pawn. They've got jewelry, electronics, tools, and gifts for way less. No sacrifices, no half-ply TP. Ugh.
Not your traditional pawn shop. Family Pawn.
The best thing about spring is that there's no single best thing about spring. It's all good. Golfing,
peeing off the deck.
Grilling,
peeing off the deck.
You can do everything outside again.
Peeing off the deck.
Practice your aim at cornhole and peeing off your Crutch's deck. You don't want to hit those railing posts. All the beauty and fun of spring just go better with Crutch's custom exteriors. True beauty is on the outside. See what they can do for you at CrutchesCustomExteriors.com.
Back to more of the biggest sports stories in mid-Missouri. You've got The Big Show on the KTGR app.
Well, the madness has begun with the first four getting underway last night, 2 more games tonight, and then the huge slates start to come Thursday and Friday in the NCAA tournament. Mizzou, the very last game in the first round as we await their tip-off, which will be at 9:10 p.m. local time against Miami in St. Louis. And here to talk about all things Mizzou, Gabe DeArmond of PowerMizzou.com. Here joining us. You can find him on Twitter at PowerMizzou.com. And now is a great time to go and subscribe to Power Mizzou to read all of their great Mizzou content. So, Gabe, I mean, just now that we're at this week and Mizzou has to wait longer than pretty much everybody else for their first game. That may be the only bad part about the draw, though, the fact that it worked out about as well as it could have in every other aspect seems to be the case, too.
Yeah, I don't love 9:10 p.m., which is, if we're being honest, going to be at least 9:30 p.m.
Yeah.
The second game never starts on time. But overall, very good for Missouri. And I actually kind of like the Friday, even Friday evening games, because I've covered games in the tournament that are, 2 o'clock on Thursday. And if your team loses, it's like the tournament didn't really happen. It's just, hey, there and done. And by the way, the tournament has not started. I'm glad we don't have to have that debate. Texas made the tournament. Howard made the tournament. And UMBC can say they made the tournament because they're a 16 seed. NC State doesn't get to say they made the tournament.
Oh, yeah. That is tough. For them, it actually ended before it started. So unfortunate for them. And we'll see if which teams can avoid that fate tonight in the first four. But I mean, for everything else that happened for Mizzou in a month that, it's kind of dragged for them. Last 3 games in March, still not getting that win. That's been kind of elusive to them last couple of Marches. I just wonder with this opportunity that they have, how it looks now as they enter this game against a team that is very like to them, how that aspect kind of plays into this game.
Yeah, I think we talk about momentum a lot, and I'm not sure it ever really, I saw a stat, a team that lost its first conference tournament game has never won the national title. Cool. I don't think Missouri's winning the national title anyway. That's not really a realistic goal here. The goal is win on Friday and take your chances and see what happens. And I don't know that the end of the season necessarily impacts that a whole lot. The last game Miami played was maybe the worst game it's had all year, right? But it was against a good team, and so be it. But 7-10 games are largely toss-ups. I think the scouting report for both of these teams is very much, hey, you know what you see in practice every day? Yeah, that's kind of this. So it should be a competitive game. But nobody knows what this team will do day to day, though.
Gabe DeArmond of PowerMizzou.com here on the Big Show, KTGR and the KTGR app. To this point, for how you kind of evaluate Mizzou's season, knowing that this part of the year is kind of like the final exam, or however you want to treat it, counts for, maybe 10, 20% of your grade or something like that. It's the lasting impact of what a fan would remember about the season. But to this point, how would you kind of grade it, knowing that there is still some time to go here for what Mizzou is going to do on Friday and maybe beyond?
Yeah, I would say I don't think they overachieved and I don't think they underachieved. I just think they achieved. I mean, preseason, I thought like 19 to 22 wins, middle of the pack finish in the SEC. If you could get over 500, you'd get in the NCAA tournament, be on the right side of the bubble, and that's where they're at. I thought their seed might be a little bit better with that record, but I think part of it is, I thought they'd beat Notre Dame in the non-conference, and also I just don't think the SEC was as good as I thought it was going to be. I mean, they have a lot of decent teams, but they don't have a lot of great teams. I think they have one, maybe 1.5, depending on what Arkansas does. So it's been a fine year. I don't think anybody should be miserable or, throwing in the towel, but I don't think you throw parades for this year either. Like you said, let's see what happens this weekend. And that can change a lot of things. The last time Missouri played Miami in the NCAA tournament, they were I believe they got as high as number 2 in the country and got to 9-0 that season and fell apart and were the last team in the field and then went to the Elite Eight. And there are people that look back at that season and think great year. That was a horrendous regular season that was saved by 2 good weeks at the right time.
Yeah, it's fascinating how it can change. And, the aspect of, well, now Mizzou really is set up to at least win a game because you're in St. Louis, and then Miami fans maybe have some consternation about that. Like, how do you kind of view this opportunity in that sense, knowing that, look, future beyond what Dennis Gates is viewed as after this year and how his future kind of develops here at Missouri?
I mean, it is an opportunity. It is as if Dennis Gates went to the committee and says, here is what I would like. And they said, cool, we can do that. Now, the thing is, that happened last year. Like, we had this same conversation last year. Oh, they're a seed line higher than we thought. Oh, they're at the closest regional to campus. And last year, they had the added advantage of playing a team that physically didn't match up with them. And we all know what happened. So, look, if I'm Miami, I'm mildly irritated by this. If I'm Purdue, I'm pretty unhappy about it. But that building's not going to win a game. I mean, I was at the last game Missouri played in that building, and it didn't do him any favors that night. So, I mean, I've heard an interview with Jay Lucas, and Miami will very much say, hey guys, we've won road games. You do the Gene Hackman at Hickory High thing. Basket's 10 feet, court's 94 by 50.
Yeah.
If Miami jumps out 15-4, that crowd's not going to have anything to cheer about. So, I think it's an interesting storyline, and I understand why it is one. And if I was on Miami's side, I would be upset by it. But once the game starts, I don't know how much it matters.
Gabe DeArmond at PowerMizzou.com here on the Big Show, KTGR and the KTGR app. For the actual matchup on paper, it seems that Mizzou and Miami get their production in very similar ways. The metrics, overall, maybe favor Miami a little bit more, but they seem to be very similar teams. When they match up like this, what then do you look for as okay, who maybe has the edge in a small area here and there, and how that could maybe tip the scales on Friday?
Yeah, so let's kind of do both sides, and we'll start with Missouri. If there is an edge for Missouri, I think they are capable of maybe a better three-point shooting performance than I think Miami is. Now, it is not what Missouri has done consistently this year, and Jaden Stone has not shot the ball well lately, and Jacob Cruz hasn't played a lot lately. So I am not predicting that's going to happen, but on the right night, this team, I think, is capable of shooting pretty well from three-point range, whereas Miami they've never really done that. That's not their approach. Now, Miami's advantages, I think the first two kind of go together. I think they've got an edge at point guard. I mean, Trey Donaldson has been here before. He's done this. We all know Ant Robinson has struggled. T.O. Barrett has been good, but he's also at times been very much not good. It's been very up and down. I think that both teams turn it over a decent amount, but Miami forces a lot of turnovers and Missouri doesn't. if Missouri's going to go, I mean, it beat them against Kentucky, right? They just the first 12 minutes of that game, they could not hold on to the ball. It was just here. Would you like this, and would you like a layup? If Missouri does that in this game, they're in big trouble. I mean, if you're getting up to 14, 15 turnovers, I don't think Missouri can win this game.
How do you kind of see? I mean, Mark Mitchell is obviously going to draw a ton of attention, as he should, with how he's been playing recently. When, maybe not if, but when Miami crashes on him, who do you then look to when he's got to maybe pass it out because he doesn't have his look?
Well, I wrote about that on Monday this week, and my answer was somebody, anybody. Right? Like there are guys, they have 6 guys on this team that have scored 20 points this year, 7 that have scored 17. The problem is in the last 2 games, really in the last 3 games, I thought at OU, I thought Mark was average, maybe a little bit below, and everybody else was just bad. The Arkansas game, Mark was phenomenal and got 0 help. And then the Kentucky game, Mark was phenomenal and he got about 12 minutes of help from Sean Phillips. And that was really it. Like, everybody else, if you look at those games, you go, except maybe T.O. Barrett against Kentucky, you go, they played worse than I would expect them to play. And you're not winning. Mark Mitchell is not good enough to win an NCAA tournament game by himself. He's not going to score 60, right? So we've seen in the last 2 games, 32 from Mark Mitchell isn't enough if nobody else is going to show up. So it very much, I'm interested to see, because this is one of the few teams Missouri's played this year that kind of has its own Mark Mitchell. I mean, Malik Reneau is very similar. The numbers, actually Renew's numbers are a little bit better, and they like to go about things the same way. They can make a 3, but it's not really their game. They go to the free throw line a lot. So is it a situation where those two, like the better one wins, or is it, okay, those two kind of cancel each other out? Whose supporting cast is going to be better?
How do you view maybe the familiarity between Dennis Gates and C.Y. Young in this matchup here too?
I mean, I would think if you're going to have an edge at all, that edge is with Miami, because like C.Y. knows what Dennis does. C.Y. is not making the game plan, right? This is Jay Lucas's team in Miami. So, but I'm not sure that it's really going to matter a whole lot. I mean, yeah, he knows Mark Mitchell. I'm not sure he knows this version of Mark Mitchell. He doesn't know this version of T.O. Barrett. He doesn't know this version of Trent Pierce. He never coached Jaden Stone, never coached Sean Phillips. So he might be able to give them some tendencies, right? Like, hey, if this starts to happen, or, hey, this is something Ant likes to do. I wouldn't think it should make a huge difference, but these games frequently come down to little things.
Seems that way in the NCAA tournament. Gabe DeArmond at PowerMizzou.com here on the Big Show KTGR and the KTGR app. So what do you think happens here, Gabe? What's your prediction for Friday?
I mean, so I'm just going to be honest. I'm publicly picking Missouri because I just don't want to deal with people being mad at me. I don't really know that I believe it. I'm going to do my pick on Friday morning, and this is a very even matchup, but everywhere I look at kind of in the margins, I go, well, I kind of like Miami there a little bit better, right? I think T.O. Barrett and or Anthony Robinson have to play very, very well in this game for Missouri to win. If they don't, it's going to be a short stay. But look, when it's a toss-up, why not just pick the team you cover? Because why put up with the grief, So I don't know. Missouri 74-73. How's that sound?
I mean, that's kind of how I feel sometimes. Like when it's that close, just lean to the team you cover.
Right. Like why go the other way? Because I'd rather pick them to win and they lose than pick them to lose and they win. Listen to everybody. Right. Exactly. I make when I do that, I make appearances in their official movies and stuff that they release on social media. Right. So,
especially nowadays, that's for sure.
So I'll just go Mizzou.
Who's your big champion? Who's your
I've got Arizona. I watched them play earlier this year, and the first time I saw them play, I just thought, oh my, like they are unbelievable. And I always just go into it and go, all right, if everybody plays their best game, who do I think the best team is? And I think if Arizona plays its best game, it's the best team.
Seems that way, and we'll look to see how it plays out over the next few weeks or so. Gabe, a bit of a football note. Eli Drinkwitz had media today after spring practice and gave an injury update, and maybe a pretty big one with Josh Atkins as well as Elias Williams sustaining injuries, maybe in danger of missing the start of the season. We'll see for sure. But Atkins certainly the one that's, comes in as a transfer from Arizona State and widely regarded to be in the mix at right tackle. How do you kind of view this update here after the spring football practice today?
Yeah, I mean, not ideal, right, for your projected starting blindside tackle to miss. Well, he didn't miss spring football. I mean, he's gotten most of that, but to miss most of the summer, to miss fall camp. And when the coach is saying in March he might miss some games, I'm just operating under the assumption he's missing games. Maybe that'll end up being wrong. He'll update us in August, whatever. But I think that's kind of how you have to operate. So, I know we mentioned Logan Reichert, Luke Work, the Mississippi State lineman, is in the mix. I wonder if Whit Hafer might be able to get in the mix, or Jack Lang, but not ideal. But hey, man, this is what happens, right? Nobody goes through a football season 100% healthy. So this is why you recruit more than 22 guys.
For sure. And we'll see who steps up for Mizzou in that area coming up in what could be a very key spot, with Austin Simmons being the lefty and projected to be the guy there for Mizzou at quarterback. Gabe, what's new at Power Mizzou these days?
Look, a little bit of everything. I mean, spring football tournament, right? Cody Goodwin's been following some wrestling stuff for us. Gymnastics is coming up. Sean's on recruiting. So we'll slow down here in the next, I don't know. I hope it's at least, 4 more days and not 2 more days.
That's for sure. But hey, go and check out all of that great info and coverage on all things Mizzou at PowerMizzou.com from Gabe and the team, and follow him on Twitter at PowerMizzou.com. Great to have him here on the big show, KTGR. Thanks for coming on. We'll see you on Friday, and we'll talk soon.
All right. Sounds good, Andy. Thanks.
Big show is on at 4:44, KTGR and the KTGR app. And yeah, with everything kind of coming together, of course, gymnastics SEC championships this weekend. Wrestling begins the NCAA championships with 6 of their wrestlers going there tomorrow in Cleveland. And NCAA tournament happening this week for Mizzou men's basketball and the spring football as well. Everything happening in this month. It seems that this is almost more of a crossover season a lot of the time here in the spring. You can also tune in on the KTGR app right now to hear Mizzou baseball. We'll have an update on that. We'll have Under the Bus coming up next as well. Rare that we do it to the same person 2 days in a row, but sorry, Jeets, that's what you're getting this time. Next.
Now, your local sports center update on your total sports station, KTGR.
Good afternoon, I'm Andy Humphrey. This Sports Center update is with Lee's Tire Company. If it's round and rubber, Lee's sells it. Go to leestirecompany.com, as both Mizzou Diamond sports teams, in fact, are in action right now. Mizzou softball won game 1 of their doubleheader against Illinois in Champaign today by a score of 3-0. Marissa McCann pitching a complete game shutout there, and currently up, or actually trailing at the moment, or actually last update, tied at 3, top of the 3rd inning, Mizzou and Illinois in game 2 of that doubleheader. Mizzou going for their 7th straight win after defeating Illinois earlier in the day. On the baseball side, Mizzou playing Kansas right now in Lawrence, and that one yet to have a score at the moment as they are underway now. Again, you can flip over on the KTGR app and listen now. Cardinals announced their opening day starter. It will be Matthew Liberatore, the left-hander entering his 5th big league season with the Cardinals, went 8-12 with an ERA of 4.21 last year. He will start opening day at Busch Stadium for St. Louis. That'll be next Thursday as the Cardinals take on the Rays. Now your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast on KTGR.
I'm ABC 17 Storm Track Chief Meteorologist Jessica Hafner. I'm tracking a mild night as temperatures will be a little bit warmer, cool enough for a light layer in the morning as we drop down to about 44 under mostly cloudy skies. Tomorrow we clear out. We'll see highs back up into the 70s with a high near 74. Getting towards Friday, it's even warmer. Morning temperatures around 48 with a high near 80 degrees under sunny skies. I'm ABC 17 Storm Track Chief Meteorologist Jessica Hafner, and that's your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast on your total sports station, KTGR.
On Simmons Field.
Swinging a ground ball, hit past third and the left. That's a base hit.
And across the SEC.
Fastball, swing and a miss. He struck him out.
The Tigers are ready to roar.
There it goes. Long drive, deep right field. That is gone.
This is your radio home for Mizzou baseball.
The Tigers win this one in a walk-off here in the bottom of the ninth inning.
Mid-Missouri's total sports station, KTGR.
Hi, everyone. Andy Humphrey here for Advanced Tree Solutions. Now is the time, the springtime, to think about tree pruning, to think about the structural strength of your trees. This is the time to think about it, because once the summer rolls along and you try to do that work, it can be damaging to the trees. So now, if you get tree pruning done, they can grow back stronger as the months roll along. And there is one place and one guy that I trust with all of my tree needs, and that's Eric and his team over at Advanced Tree Solutions. They serve Columbia, Jefferson City, and Fulton. If you call him up, he'll be there on time. He'll take care of your trees. He'll assess what needs to be done, give you a fair and honest price, and the work is going to be top-notch. It'll take care of all of your worries about how your trees are doing. Let Eric and his team care for your trees at Advanced Tree Solutions. Go and check out their full range of services, advancedtreesolutionsllc.com. Definitely during this time of year, make sure to get tree pruning done before the summertime. Go to advancedtreesolutionsllc.com.
Michael Agnew here with API Project Fitness. I understand that life is hard, and if you're soft, it will squish you. You must find a way to be hard. Armor yourself up mentally and physically and emotionally. Our goal is to help you find your inner strength and hardness. The difference between strength and weakness is choice. With our group fitness classes and personal training and open gym, the choice is yours. Choose strength. Find us at apiprojectfitness.com or call us at 573-268-6944 to make an appointment.
If you're craving something delicious, find your way to the Pasta Factory, where everything's made from scratch daily. Their fresh sauces, cakes, quiche, dressings, and soups are sure to tantalize your taste buds. And all pasta entrees are cooked, baked, and tossed to order. Don't leave without sampling those homemade desserts, lovingly crafted by Jason and Rob. Good. The Pasta Factory. Visit them at 3103 West Broadway Business Park, right in front of Walmart. Celebrating 50 years in business. The Pasta Factory, where fresh meets flavor.
My name is Taylor, and I have had insurance with Phyllis Nichols and her team for over 9 years. A auto claim came when my wife was rear-ended. Everyone was safe, but that left a lot of cosmetic damage on her brand new car. We called Phyllis, said, hey, this is what happened, and she's made it a very streamlined process. Phyllis lined out our rental car and made everything just so easy. And having 3 kids and losing a vehicle is a big deal, but Phyllis went to bat for us, got everything lined out, and made it a very easy process.
I'm one of them, wishing for warmer weather. In the current issue of Inside Columbia Magazine, pull up a chair with our dining guide and see the best outdoor patio and rooftop hot spots. Don't miss a single event, party, or fundraiser in the community calendar. And a delicious battle is on as we debate a critical question: who has the best pizza in town? It's all Inside Columbia Magazine. Get your copy today at break time convenience stores or have it delivered at insidecolumbia.net.
Farming comes with pride and pressure. Long days, unpredictable weather, rising costs, and worries that don't quit. You don't have to carry that stress alone. Talking helps. Show Me Strong Farm Families offers free, confidential telehealth counseling with professionals who understand agriculture. Search Show Me Strong Farm Families and take the first step. Call 573-882-4677 because talking helps. Brought to you by University of Missouri Extension.
They can't shoot it straight on the golf course, but they can shoot straight on the biggest sports stories in mid-Missouri. Back to Andy and Brendan on The Big Show on KTGR.
Got to do it again to Derek Jeter, saying dumb stuff on the studio show after the WBC. First, he tried to, probably didn't mean to take a shot to Kansas City, but it may have been taken that way. And I think Kansas City people were right to feel that way when he tried to compare the environment there with Michael Garcia versus the environment to Kansas City. Like, what are you doing, buddy? Last night, he's asked about, like, okay, well, is this bigger than the World Series? And then he goes, I think you're only saying this is bigger than the World Series if you've never played in a World Series. Buddy, there are several major leaguers on record that have played in both that said that final last night and other finals in the past have felt bigger. Don't try to belittle this. And maybe that's part of the issue. Derek Jeter, a great American baseball player in his day, having the, like, you're on the studio crew for the WBC and you're saying, it's not the World Series. Maybe that's the problem. Again, Team USA has an identity issue with how they represent themselves in this tournament, and that's why they didn't win it last night. That's at least part of the reason. Like, a big part of it is pitching and who's available and everything like that. Could they have thrown Tarek Skubal if he was available and they were better with that? Maybe. But honestly, pitching wasn't much of the issue. 3-2 game. like, score some runs, guys. And sentiments like Jeter expressed last night maybe are what are part of the big problem. So once again, Derek Jeter, you're thrown under for what you're saying on the studio crew after the game for the WBC. Also, under the bus to Mike Francesa. Mike Francesa, he's the only guy that can do this, and I just laugh. Like, if other people do this in our business, we're like, buddy, what are you doing? Like, snap out of it. He didn't compare, but he was trying to characterize St. John's potentially facing Kansas, and a player for St. John's, Zuby Ejiofor, who used to play for Kansas, transferred over to St. John's, I believe in 2023. And Francesa characterizing the situation as, well, he was pushed out because, Joel Embiid was there. Joel Embiid hasn't played for Kansas since 2014. And by the way, he was a one-and-done player. This guy, Zuby Ejiofor, has played, I think, pretty much his whole eligibility in college, either for Kansas or St. John's. I think Francesa later clarified, like, I meant Hunter Dickinson. Okay, buddy. Again, though, whenever he screws up, I just laugh. He's one of those rare talents where it's like part of his allure, at least to me, watching him and listening to him, is, oh yeah, he's gonna flub something, and that's gonna be entertaining. Classic Mike. Mike's on, but yeah, Francesa really missed the mark on that one. Not remembering that Joel Embiid is a 12-year NBA veteran. Come on, man. Also, under the bus to Senegal in the African Cup of Nations. Crazy situation. Final game, Morocco versus Senegal of this big tournament in Africa in soccer. Senegal's up 1-0. Morocco goes for a penalty kick. There was a foul on Senegal that warranted a penalty kick, and Senegal's players were so upset with it that they walked off the field. All the players, all the coaches just went back into the locker room for like 10 minutes. Eventually, they came back. I think the captain rallied them back and got them onto the field. They take the penalty kick. Morocco misses it. Senegal wins 1-0. So Senegal's the champion, right? Well, actually, the appeal by Morocco and made final today said that Senegal walking off the field was seen as a form of forfeit. So Senegal, because they walked off the field because they were so upset, that is how they lost the game, even though they were ahead and Morocco didn't have the game tying goal at the penalty line or the penalty spot to tie the game. And now Morocco is the champion. Senegal, guys, you just got to finish it. Play until the whistle blows. Let's go. That's wild. I would have loved to see video of that, but my goodness, you gotta have better headspace than what that team did there. Obviously, Michael Garcia winning World Baseball Classic MVP for the entire tournament. He had an excellent tournament. So well-deserved for Michael Garcia, but also that moment for Salvador Perez. Again, you could see what it meant to him. And there was a tweet from Alden Gonzalez, ESPN baseball writer, saying that, look, that Salvador Perez is 35. They don't insure you for this tournament when you're past age 37. So Omar Lopez, the manager for Team Venezuela, put him in to start because this was most likely going to be Salvador Perez's final World Baseball Classic game. He's been a lifer in this event ever since it started. So for him to be able to play for that team, start for that team, catch an excellent game, score the first run, man, so happy for Salvi. And again, it was easy to root for Team Venezuela last night. If you were wanting them to win, I do not blame you with how they were treating it. And this Team USA most assuredly was not. That's an issue. Coming up, we'll talk more baseball because the Cardinals appear to have solidified the rotation with the moves that they made public today. So we'll talk about that and what that means for the start of the season. A very interesting article and some quotes from Eli Drinkwitz that he told Chris Lowe of On3 Sports about the future of college football as well. We'll get to that here on The Big Show, KTGR.
My name is Josh. I am an exterior project specialist with True Sun Exteriors and Interiors. If you are living in an aging home, you may start noticing items around your home that need repair or replacement. For example, your roof, shingles blowing off, roof leak pop up over time. If you're in an aging home and you look at your windows, you may start to see fogging up between the glass so you can't quite get it clean, or sashes that don't quite open just right and don't lock just right. With something like siding, you're going to notice that your paint is fading, and that may be a sign it's getting old. Maybe the vinyl siding on your home is brittle. And finally, if you have a deck, this is a common item of failure. Your stairs start to get a little wobbly and feel unsafe. If you notice any of these things happening to your home, give us a call and we'll let you know whether it be repair or replacement. We're going to take care of you.
The difference between a house and a home is the attention to detail. At True Sun Exteriors and Interiors, we'll turn your vision of a dream home into a reality. For more information or a free estimate, go to TrueSunExteriors.com.
TrueSunExteriors.com.
Okay, sure. We could hire a pilot to fly one of those skywriting planes to write our name in the sky. We could even add fireworks or a guy in a gorilla suit. Or we could just do what we've always done at ShopMidmo.com. Offer you amazing deals from Mid-Missouri's best local businesses. Half off dining, entertainment, self-care, and more. Tell you what, we'll skip the skywriting. You skip paying full price. Visit ShopMidmo.com.
ShopMidmo.com. ShopMidmo.com.
Now through March 31st at Clark Warehouse Tire and Auto, get up to $180 back on a Bridgestone prepaid MasterCard. Get up to $80 back when you purchase 4 eligible Bridgestone tires, plus up to an extra $100 back when you use your CFNA credit card. Upgrade your ride and save big today at any Clark Warehouse Tire and Auto location. Subject to credit approval, restrictions apply. Visit BridgestoneRewards.com for details.
Clark Warehouse Tire and Auto, keeping Missouri rolling since 1949.
KTGR AM Columbia, KTGR FM Fulton Columbia, K286CL Columbia, in Missouri's total sports station, KTGR.
I'm Christine Lisi. Star Giannis Antetokounmpo continues to deal with a left knee injury. He and the Bucks are not on the same page about a potential return. Milwaukee wants to shut him down the rest of the season, reports ESPN's Shams Charania. Giannis has refused that request so far, wants to play again. After not demanding a trade at the deadline, Giannis is reaping what he sowed, believes ESPN's Kendrick Perkins.
Do I feel bad for Giannis Antetokounmpo? Hell no. You made this bed. Lay in it. You knew what was coming up. You knew that this team was on the verge of quote-unquote tanking. You know that they were tanking and it wasn't going anywhere. You didn't put your foot down and demand what you wanted to demand and stand on business and say you wanted out of there at the trade deadline.
Milwaukee's lost 9 of 11 is 7.5 games out of the final play-in spot in the East. Duke big man Patrick Gongba, foot injury, likely out of the NCAA tournament opener against Siena. NHL, after missing the last 11 games with a lower body injury, Penguins captain Sidney Crosby is back tonight versus Carolina. Face off in an hour on ESPN+.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Progressive Commercial Insurance can protect your small business with over 30 coverage options, an easy-to-use mobile app, personalized discounts, and more. Get a quote in as little as 8 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Discounts and coverage selections not available in all states or situations.
Push. Back to the wall. And it's Gunner. And Arrowhead. Touchdown! Kansas City! To your speakers. This is the big show, baby. Get fresh takes on the biggest sports stories in mid-Missouri. Right now, this is The Big Show with Andy and Brendan on KTGR.
So we've got, it appears, a rotation now for the Cardinals that you can expect to roll out as the first five once the season starts next Thursday. That's set for it. You'll hear the games here on KTGR. We'll talk about who's starting that first game, as well as who's going to be starting the rest, and the move that kind of solidified that five today, coming up here in just a little bit. We'll also talk about an interesting article from Chris Lowe of On3 Sports. You can check out if you pay for their service. Talk to Eli Drinkwitz about potentially the future of college football and where Drinkwitz might think it be heading if things don't change. So we'll talk about that at 5:25. We want your thoughts as well. Again, about your brackets. Don't forget, KTGR app is where you can upload your brackets to get a free t-shirt, handwrite them, and you can also join our online pool for a chance at more prizes. But give us a call or a text as well to weigh in, 875-KTGR. First, though, let's get to this. It's 5 o'clock.
It's time for the Top 5 at 5 on The Big Show. Number 1.
If you want to trade away for curtain number 1, you can have curtain 1.
Look, last night, Team Venezuela wanted it more. They embodied that pretty much all tournament long, but it was a stark contrast when you put them up against how Team USA approached this tournament, which, look, if Team USA were to win that game last night and have proof of concept of, like, look, how we play, how we approach the game can work. Championship mentality, business trip, ho-hum, not flamboyant or overly emotional, everything like that. We'll just take care of business. Well, guess what? You didn't. And the team that looks like they're having fun playing this game, as opposed to you, they won the game last night, and they won the championship. I think that's a USA problem that they need to look inward and see, especially since 2028's coming up, Olympics. We'll see if they can rebound from this after last night's loss.
Number 2.
Number 2, your timing is impeccable.
But good to see Royals such as Michael Garcia, Salvador Perez contribute last night. Luinder Avila for Team Venezuela, pitcher for the Royals, could factor in as a young prospect this year. He looked good in his appearances for that team. And, of course, you like the contributions that Jack Caglione and Vinny Pasquantino had for Team Italy. I'm excited about what that could mean offensively for the Royals this year. They definitely need better offense going forward.
Number 3.
On the Cardinals side, well, they've got their opening day starter, Matthew Liberatore. And as expected, sometimes it's a little bit of, like, who's the best pitcher, but also who's been here the most, who can fans really attach to and get excited about for that first game. And Liberatore, I think, fits that the most for the Cardinals starters this year at least. So he'll get that opportunity, and I don't know if he can be a full-on ace for this team, but the goal for him is to have a season where he can prove that he can have staying power, at least as one of their top 3 guys or top 4 guys going forward. Big year for Matthew Liberatore. We'll see how it starts out next Thursday as the Cardinals open up against the Rays.
Number 4.
Oh, shanked it.
Mizzou football note, Eli Drinkwitz updating after spring practice today that offensive lineman Josh Atkins is going to miss some time, and it could mean that he misses the start of the year. He was projected to be the starter at right tackle, which becomes much more of an important position when you have a left-handed starting quarterback, most likely in Austin Simmons. That could be a big loss, and now some competition for Mizzou for some young guys.
Number 5.
What did the 5 fingers say to the face?
I mean, Senegal walked off the field. They could have had the game won, but because they walked off the field, they lose the championship.
That's The Big Show's Top 5 at 5 on KTGR.
Just a crazy story. 875-KTGR if you want to call or text us here to talk about it. Like, how does that happen? You absolutely are so incensed about a call And so your entire team walks off the field into the locker room. And because you did that, that's seen as a form of forfeit by the powers that be in the African Cup of Nations. Senegal eventually comes back onto the field, finishes the game, and wins. The penalty kick they were upset about, like, that was missed by Morocco. So they had the game won, but man, that's a tough way to lose the championship, and Morocco gets it instead by forfeit, winning 3-0 in that game. Crazy. Also, last night, look, I get it. We had Gabe DeArmond on earlier in great conversation. You can go and check it out on our podcast page a little bit later. But I mean, he's right in a sense that the tournament doesn't really feel like it starts yesterday in the first four. It really feels like it starts tomorrow. Now, I would argue if you have more games to Tuesday and Wednesday, it'll feel a little more like it starts on Tuesday. But I guess we'll find out for sure. Either way, last night, Texas and NC State provided a pretty fun finish. And I was ready to just call NC State done and dusted when they were down 9 with about 2 minutes left, but they stormed back. And then I remember, oh yeah, Texas likes to play around with teams and play with their food a little bit down the stretch of games. That kind of happened against Oklahoma a little bit too at the end of the regular season. And so the fact that the game ended the way that it did, not surprised. I will say there was a little bit of consternation about the broadcast of Dickie V and Charles Barkley kind of chumming it up with the color commentary and going back and forth and talking about like large scale issues instead of maybe focusing on the game. In a way, I'm like, yeah, do focus on an NCAA tournament game and especially do well by the fan bases that are watching that game and they're trying to see their team fight for their lives, live to fight another day. And you're not necessarily giving them the love. You're kind of playing into the fact that, oh, look who we have in the broadcast booth. It shouldn't always be about who's in the broadcast booth. It should be about who's on the court, on the field, whatever you're calling it. But at the same time, I'm kind of like, put those two together in a room and you've got some content gold. And I thought there were some times where that was true. I mean, that made for some pretty cool moments, albeit if you were a Texas fan or an NC State fan watching that, I can understand why you'd be frustrated. And Brian Anderson, kudos to him. He clearly was maybe a little bit under weather voice-wise, but still powered through, put together a good call. And so, well done on him for being able to call that game while also managing Dickie V and the Chuckster on the call together, just for the ridiculousness of it all. I would have liked to see that in maybe a different setting, like put that in a regular season game instead of an NCAA tournament, treat it a little bit differently, right? But hey, it was still all fun and games. And when those two were involved, yeah, have some fun. It's allowed. 875-KTGR if you want to give us a call or a text to talk about the NCAA tournament. What do you expect out of games tonight? Miami of Ohio tonight. They have a chance to prove a little bit of why they maybe belong in this thing. Is SMU the best opponent to have that litmus test against? I don't know. But if they win that game and they face Tennessee and they win that one, well, okay, yeah, we can call Miami, Ohio for real. I don't think it's going to happen. In fact, I think SMU wins tonight. But, hey, you get your chance, Miami, Ohio, to show that you belong. Win, survive, advance in this NCAA tournament, and people will start to believe that for sure. Here on the Big Show, KTGR and the KTGR app. So the Cardinals have pretty much solidified the rotation now, and it's, I think, the right move at this point. At first, we don't know the true order, but we know how the order is going to start, and I think that is the right move. This is Matthew Liberatore's day. It could potentially be his rotation going forward, at least for now. Maybe the Cardinals, when they decide, okay, yeah, we're going to put together a team that we know can contend in a certain year. Maybe that's next year. Maybe that's the year after that. Matthew Liberatore has the chance to be a mainstay in that rotation if he lives up to what his potential has been this whole time. and we've been waiting to see it. And we saw him for the first time as a full-on starter in 2025, and he did okay. Was it everything you were hoping for? Probably not if you had the expectations of a former first-round pick coming in and with his first opportunity of being a full-time starter, having an ERA well under 4, winning more games than he's losing, building up a larger innings count than Matthew Liberatore did. But realistically, that's going to take time still because he broke in young. He broke in as a high schooler, and this is his 5th big league season. And with him getting more pieces around him offensively that can help him out in some of those starts, and with the Cardinals managing him a little bit better each and every year, that can help out Matthew Liberatore. And also how he takes care of his body himself, how he can deal with the fact that his fastball can sometimes drop in velocity towards the end of the game. How do you adjust to that? Or how can you find ways to maybe prevent that from happening? Those are the main question marks for Matthew Liberatore. But out of everything else that the Cardinals rotation has to offer at this point, he is right now your most known quantity. And usually that guy's your opening day starter more often than not. I mean, it a lot of the time is a ceremonial type of position unless you go out and get a Sonny Gray or a different ace that you know is coming in to be the ace. But when you don't have a clear ace, then okay, you go with somebody who's been here a while, made a lot of starts last year. Out of everybody in the Cardinals rotation, Liberatore, I believe, made the most. I guess Palante maybe was around there too. But that seems like the right call. And so Matthew Liberatore has earned the right to get the most amount of opportunities for this Cardinals team. And we'll see how he holds up come August, September, because that I think you have more question marks about. We saw him do really well at the start of last year, and then things kind of hit the struggle bus a little bit. So now, another full season for Matthew Liberatore. Can he handle the struggles of going through an entire summer and maybe dropping in velocity as a result? How do you then adjust to it? So we'll see how that looks for Matthew Liberatore. But it seems that with the other battles, like you knew Michael McGreevy was going to have a spot. You knew Dustin May was going to have a spot. And it sure seemed that with the Cardinals working on Kyle Leahy in a way to stretch him out, that he's going to be one of their starters as well. So 4 spots were accounted for, and it came down to Richard Fitz and Andre Palante battling it out for the 5th spot. And it seems with the move that Richard Fitz has been optioned to AAA Memphis, that's what it reads on his transactions page now, it is Andre Palante. Who, look, also last year, not a very consistent season from a guy that you have had in your system for a while and has honestly had more time to be a starter for the big league club. Made 31 starts last year, so actually 2 more than Matthew Liberatore did. But clearly Liberatore was going to be making this rotation, so you make him the opening day starter. But Palante, after what I thought was a really impressive 2024, you don't back it up with a 2025 that allows the Cardinals to feel good about handing you a rotation spot every year that you're with this team. Like when the ERA gets above 5.3, you start to really wonder. When the strikeouts per 9 start to dip, when the strikeouts per walk or strikeout to walk ratio starts to dip with that extra workload. He added 40 more innings from 24 to 25, and it seemed that the added workload there did not equal better production, or at least the same type of production that the Cardinals could rely upon. Now, look, a lot of issues with last year's team, not just Andre Palante. They had other starters that they could not rely on as well. It wasn't just him. But for Andre Palante, a guy who's 26 and It's coming up on those years where the Cardinals have to decide whether he's going to be in their future going forward. You start to wonder whether he'll stick. But it seems that throughout spring, he's been the guy that's looked a little bit better than Richard Fitz, the guy that they brought in from one of the trades with Boston. Obviously, Hunter Dobbins not going to factor into the rotation to start out. He's still on the injured list coming back from the ACL. But I would think that unless Andre Pallante just fires out 5 starts that include at least 5-6 innings, and he's only giving up, a couple runs in each of them, and he's getting the job done for the Cardinals, unless he just absolutely bursts on the scene that way, or maybe just does even better. Maybe has a few scoreless starts that you just can't take off your ledger for a guy that has been a starter before, and for a good team, and you're having somebody else on your roster just hold his spot for him while he rehabs. Like, for right now, that's what it feels the Andre Pallante spot is. But can Pallante reach back and show that, hey, maybe I have some staying power with this rotation too? That's going to be the key question. And I think there are more safe spots on the Cardinals rotation right now. Dustin May is going to be there all year as long as he's healthy. Michael McGreevy, same thing, as long as he's healthy. I think that's the case for Kyle Leahy too. Like, he'll be on this roster in some capacity. If the starter thing doesn't work out, maybe they move him back to the pen, be the long-range guy that you call to every so often there. But he has a role on this team waiting for him, whether it's as a starter or a reliever. I think his effectiveness can fit either role. And so we'll see how this starter role goes for him. In the meantime, Pallante's the question mark, though. So, look, he's earned this job for now. When Hunter Dobbins comes back, I still fully expect that Dobbins takes that spot from him once he is ready. What does that mean for Andre Pallante? Because he's not a guy that you can just shuttle back and forth between St. Louis and Memphis. Does he then have to join the bullpen himself? It's a very interesting question. It's one that the Cardinals, I'm sure, would have wanted to have the options to answer last year when they had so many starters that were just ineffective and they would not let go of them. But maybe they just didn't feel that the options they had at their disposal at that point were enough to move the needle or were worth it to try and pull the trigger on. They didn't want to use Michael McGreevy. It seemed a whole lot last year, and they didn't necessarily give him the rotation spot until they absolutely had to. Now, you've got players that have big league experience starting at this level that you have a few options to work off of. And so that is nice to have. It's nice to have that stocked up, but then it creates some hard decisions. Maybe that means if Andre Pallante is not stellar, if he's maybe the same Pallante that we saw last year, that probably means you got to make a hard decision on him. And I don't know what kind of timeline that would look like, how much leash you give him in that role. But when you have someone that you think pretty clearly is going to be in the rotation once he's healthy, and Hunter Dobbins, yeah, those days could be numbered. So huge chance for Andre Pallante once he gets his first start with the Cardinals this year to show that maybe he can be more than just that 5-starter guy. But at this point, I don't know how much more you can expect other than that. Here as the Cardinals get set to start their season next Thursday against the Tampa Bay Rays. And of course, home opener. You'll hear it on KTGR right here. Coverage starts at 1:35. Longer pregame show because you can hear the Clydesdales coming through during the opening day ceremonies at Busch Stadium. And then the first pitch time at just after 3 o'clock as the Cardinals look. It's a rebuild type of year. Don't expect them to be overly competitive. That doesn't mean that they can't be, though. It's what you should expect these players can obviously do things that you don't expect. Like, does Jordan Walker all of a sudden break out? A lot of people poo-pooing the fact that Jordan Walker's had a bad spring and he shouldn't start on the big league club. Like, no, let's stop with that. He should still be a big leaguer. Like, now is the time to, like, it's sink or swim time for him. Really is. Drafted in 2020 as a high schooler, first-round guy. You don't have to be the star of this team, but you've got to show that on a contending Major League Baseball team, you can be at least a moderate contributor. He hasn't shown that yet. But you need to find out if he can show that by giving him a bunch of big league time and not shuttling him back and forth between St. Louis and Memphis either. Like that needs to stop. He's got to be your starting right fielder day one. Let him work and see if he pans out. If not, well, then you've got your answer. This is his last pre-arb year. He's going into arbitration next year. So don't start him in AAA. Put him in right field as the everyday guy. The draft capital that you spent to bring him into your organization as a highly touted prospect warrants the fact that you owe it to yourself and you owe it to the fans to give him every bit of runway that he needs. But acknowledge that runway is running out. I think this is a very key year for Jordan Walker. He's still kind of middling about and not really a guy that you can rely on to come up big in those spots, and a guy that you can stick in the middle of your lineup and say, hey, if we can just get a few guys on base for him, maybe we'll be okay. That was the vision you maybe had for Jordan Walker. If you can't do that, well then, okay. Then you have your answer. But you don't get that answer unless you're starting him in big league games every day, so do it. We'll see if the Cardinals are able to get their answer soon on that. Again, rotation seems to be set. Matthew Liberatore, the opening day starter. And then in any which order, Dustin May, Micah McGreevy, Kyle Leahy, and Andre Palante beating out Richard Fitz, it seems, for that final spot in the rotation for now. What say you, Cardinals fans? Call or text us at 875-KTGR if you want to weigh in on the Cardinals rotation. Also, don't forget, bracket talk. We'll talk a little more bracket a little later on, but if you've been talking nothing but NCAA tournament challenges and getting your picks right in your bracket all week as you prepare for when the brackets lock tomorrow at, I believe, 11, because the first game tips at 11:15 Central Time, I should say. Make sure that you get your brackets online with us on our bracket pool. We have a link on the KTGR website, ktgr.com. Also on the KTGR app, you can join that ESPN group. If you enter into that, you have a chance, if you win the pool, to win some cool prizes there. Got some cool tickets to give out. And also what you can do, if you just want to win something and you don't want to worry about, hey, my pick's going to be right? Because honestly, like, that's what I worry about too when I enter these things. Like, am I really going to win anything? Well, if you want to win something for sure, print out a blank bracket, write in your picks, take a photo, and then go to the free KTGR app. If you don't have it, download it now. It's free. Go and upload that photo of your handwritten bracket to the KTGR app, and you'll win a free KTGR t-shirt. Easy as that. Don't have to get the picks right. Just take a photo of your handwritten bracket, upload it to the KTGR app. You got a KTGR t-shirt. So go and do that. All the details on the KTGR app right now. And we hope to see how your brackets play out. Should be fun. Glad to have everybody in on the party this time here on the Big Show, KTGR and the KTGR app. Let's go out to the KTGR hotline. I believe we have Steve. Is that correct?
Yeah, Andy, how you doing?
Hey, Steve. Good to hear from you. How are you?
I'm good. I just wanted to comment there a little about Jordan Walker. I hear what you're saying, but he's had 3 years, and he hasn't done anything. There's 2 or 3 guys that this spring was really hitting the ball well, and I don't see why giving him a chance and not trying some of them to shake it up a little bit, because I'm not sure he's going to be the guy if this is his 4th year and he still hasn't done much.
Yeah, I mean, I understand the frustration with it. Appreciate the call, Steve, here on the Big Show KTGR. And I get it. There have been some other guys for the Cardinals that have hit well in spring. And I'm not saying you shouldn't completely discount what happens in spring. At least acknowledge that it is happening in spring and that you don't necessarily know for sure how it's going to look when those same hitters go up against the true guys that are going to be starting and relieving for big league teams here very soon. But look, it's more of a Jordan Walker conversation than anything else, as opposed to what else might be happening around Jordan Walker. And look, you're right. Like, the production has dipped every single year that he has upped the volume. He got 400 plus at bats with a 787 OPS in 2023. And people thought, hey, that's workable. Go ahead and do that some more. I know you strike it out a lot, but let's see what else is there. And ever since then, it has dipped. And there was that little messing with where he was playing between St. Louis and Memphis those first couple years. They moved him back and forth, and it just wasn't working all that much. And there were injuries involved with that too. Last year, he's up for 111 games, and he OPS is 584. Like, yeah, that's bad. And there haven't been signs this spring that it's going to get better. I get it. I understand all that. It might sound unfair, but it's how organizations have to operate. When you spend a first-round pick on this guy, you exhaust every option that he can have to show you that eventually he'll figure it out. And I think you got to do that. And again, in a year where you're not expected to win, it's not to say that you shouldn't try to win. Obviously, do everything you can. But again, it is about finding the players that when you do have the tools in place and the people in place to put together a contending team, ideally in the very near future, within the next 1 to 2 years, you need to identify whether or not Jordan Walker, a first-round pick for you out of high school, can be part of that mix. Otherwise, why should any of your first-round picks have that type of chance? I know he's gotten chances before. I would like to see him have a chance when he just stays in St. Louis the whole time and doesn't go to Memphis. Like, don't try to move him around too much. Don't try to mess around with where he's playing, who he's hearing tips from, everything like that. Just focus on the everyday in and out of being a big leaguer, trying to contribute for your group each and every time out there that you get a chance. The only way you do that is by just letting him have right field and see how it operates. And look, I'm not saying it's going to be for sure good results. I'm hoping that it's good results, that the spring numbers are just, you know what, excusing away is spring. But see how it looks for an extended period of time with Jordan Walker as the starter. And if it continues, okay, yeah, go to the other guys that you want to see a little bit more of that could maybe take that spot down the line. But I just think for a guy who's still he's entering his 24 season, high school first-round pick, like, give him a chance to blossom. Kind of in a similar sense that they allowed Matthew Liberatore to do that last year. And look, he started out really well. Things kind of tapered off towards the end. I see a kind of a similar situation with Jordan Walker. So see how it looks, and then you'll start to get your answer as to whether he can help you down the line. Call or text us at 875-KTGR. Get your Cardinals thoughts in as we're getting ready for the season in 8 days for the Cardinals as they open up against the Rays next Thursday. In the meantime, we'll talk some Mizzou football. Obviously, a big update at spring practice today, so we'll talk about that, as well as an interesting article from Chris Lowe of On3 Sports, who talked to Eli Drinkwitz, and Drinkwitz has been open and candid about how he feels about the future of college sports. What did he say in this latest piece? We'll get to that next.
That's the latest edition of The Big Show. Catch up on demand with a full show podcast on the KTGR app. Download it now, wherever you get your apps.
Hi, everyone. Andy Humphrey here for Lee's Tire Company. If you want the tire experts, if you want the largest selection, if you want a team that you can trust to take care of your vehicle, you get it all at Lee's Tire Company. That's where I go to take my car in whenever I need new tires or service done, oil changes. They have 3 locations, 2 in Columbia and 1 in Centralia that you can go to check out yourself. And they do a great job, if you're in the market for new tires, of putting money back in your pocket. They run specials all the time. So this month you can save on Bridgestone tires, Firestone, Goodyear, so many more brands. You can get money back into your pocket if you buy sets of tires from Lee's Tire Company. So take advantage of that. Go see all the specials at leestirecompany.com. You can also browse their full selection so you can know exactly what type of tires that you want before you bring your car in. Go and check them out on the Business Loop in Columbia or at University Garage by the MU campus or in Centralia. If it's round and rubber, Lee's sells at leestirecompany.com.
Shangri-La Dispensaries has always been there for your medicinal and recreational needs. Now they need your vote in Best of Columbia 2026. Voting is open for Inside Columbia's Best of Columbia, and Shangri-La is up for Best Dispensary. You can vote for Shangri-La once a day between now and April 12th. Just go to InsideColumbia.net. Shangri-La would like to thank all their loyal patients and customers for letting them be there for your medicinal and recreational needs. Shangri-La Dispensaries is Paradise Found.
The dawn chorus of birdsong, the calm trickling of streams, wind rustling through new leaves, bees busily buzzing, friends and family laughing and enjoying the outdoors again. You used to be able to hear all of the sounds of spring, but your hearing is faded, and spring plays more like a silent film now. So it will be all the more wonderful when you experience spring again, like your first movie in Dolby Digital.
Hearing Aid Consultants in Allmaker Repair Lab in Jefferson City. We are here for you today so you can hear tomorrow.
In sports, there are bad calls, like wolfing down walking tacos before 9 a.m. warm-ups, discussing NIL deals with your 8U travel team, or trusting the mom who spells lose with 2 O's to order team jerseys. Yay, go Tigres. Here's a good call. Shopping at Play It Again Sports for baseball and softball season. Play It Again Sports. Think of them first, so you don't finish last. Play It Again Sports, ColumbiaMo.com. Extra savings, not extra letters.
Whoops.
The best thing about spring is that there's no single best thing about spring. It's all good. Golfing, peeing off the deck. Grilling, peeing off the deck. You can do everything outside again. Peeing off the deck. Practice your aim at cornhole. And peeing off your crutch's deck. You don't want to hit those railing posts. All the beauty and fun of spring just go better with Crutch's Custom Exteriors. True beauty is on the outside. See what they can do for you at CrutchesCustomExteriors.com.
My name is Taylor, and I have had insurance with Phyllis Nichols and her team for over 9 years. A auto claim came when my wife was rear-ended. Everyone was safe, but that left a lot of cosmetic damage on her brand new car. We called Phyllis, said, hey, this is what happened, and she made it a very streamlined process. Phyllis lined out our rental car and made everything just so easy. And having 3 kids and losing a vehicle is a big deal, but Phyllis went to bat for us, got everything lined out, and made it a very easy process.
Tired of calling Andy and Brendan? So are their wives. Then shoot them a text right now. 573-875-KTGR and become part of the Big Show.
Getting set for Cardinals season. Call or text us at 875-KTGR. 8 days away. Cardinals named Matthew Liberatore as the opening day starter. Not a surprise. So we'll see how he does against the Rays, the team that he was traded from to the Cardinals after he was drafted in the first round a few years back. That'll be coming up next Thursday at Busch Stadium. 875-KTGR if you want to join us. Just Andy today, no Brendan. Obviously, Brendan has a lot of insights when it comes to the Cardinals, so we'll obviously hear from him very soon about how he feels about the rotation now that it is fully set. We'll expect to have Brendan back pretty soon. In the meantime, tough news about Josh Adkins today out of Mizzou football. I Drink What's told reporters today that Adkins, who was that transfer out of Arizona State, he's going to miss some time with a leg injury that he picked up in spring practice. And Eli Drinkwitz maybe characterized it as like, could be back September, October, something like that. And that means missing games potentially. And heard Gabe DeArmond talk about it too. When a head coach says, like, he might be in danger at the start of the year, you maybe just have to kind of assume that, he won't be playing the start of the year. And maybe that's also going to be the case for Elias Williams, who we also heard from Eli Drinkwitz today, is going to be missing some time after his injury picked up in spring football as well. He's part of the D tackle rotation, most likely one of the younger guys that is trying to impress over these next few months or so to break into the rotation regularly. But that's a spot where the Tigers are losing a lot at D tackle, or really in defensive line in general. You got to have some guys that are in your program at the moment step up there. And where's it going to come from? Take your pick as to who it might be. And when you're in that situation, are you going to get the production that you really need to make up what you had lost from a season ago? Like, at this point, I think it's fair to expect that maybe Mizzou's defense is going to need some time to develop, and that the offense is going to need to carry the load, at least for the early part of the season. And you get fewer cupcakes to work with, because now 9-game conference schedule. Right after that game with Pine Bluff, you go to Kansas. That's a little tougher than them coming to you last year. They'll obviously be juiced up, ready to win that game potentially based on how last year went. And then only one game left after that against Troy to really tune up before you have conference games. It's gonna hit real quick for Mizzou if they don't have strong, solidified plans for how they're going to have enough production at those spots. The Atkins one, though, is a huge setback, it would seem, for how you might feel about the offensive line this year, because you're replacing Keegan Trost on that side, who is an all-American type and kind of maybe surprised a little bit in that sense. You do get Caden Green back. You do have Dominic Jadis back, probably Curtis Piegler, but you lose a leader in Connor Tollison on that line. And so, like, there's still uncertainty as to who's going to be there. I like the additions that Mizzou got in the portal, including Atkins, but it seems that maybe you can't pencil him in for that first game based on his availability now. And so you worry about the right tackle spot, which is, again, as we talked about, going to be pretty key, since you most likely are going to have a left-handed starting quarterback, and the right tackle is going to be the side of the blind side of the quarterback going forward. So how do the Tigers situate that? It might be difficult to have an offense carry the load more so than the defense could, based on how many starters you have to replace on defense now, not just on the defensive line, but everywhere. I think they got mostly enough on that side through the portal to replenish it, but it's just a lot of unknowns. Like, you're pretty sure these guys in the secondary can take on these roles and be serviceable there. You need to maybe see it first, because several of those guys have been out with injury for a while in the more recent past. So what does that look like? Kind of the same thing at edge rusher. You have some interesting names that you threw into the mix, but maybe at this point you're relying upon Darius Smith and maybe Langdon Kitchen to as far as returners that you trust to be in the rotation right now. Probably Dayton Hopkins too, who repressed his freshman year. Lots of uncertainty that may have to be figured out in the first few games when your competition isn't as stark. Very interesting to see how that goes. Honestly, like, it just might need to be ride it all on the backs of Ahmad Hardy and Jamal Roberts to start out, which an interesting tweet from Pick Six Previews earlier today. We retweeted it at KTGR Big Show. They ranked the top 8 returning running backs as far as yards per carry, how that lays out this year. And I believe it's a guy from Utah who is at the very top of that list. But then it's Ahmad Hardy second at 6.4 and Jamal Roberts 8th at 6.1. Tigers have the best 1-2 tandem at running back in the country. You can't convince me otherwise, at least right now. It's the best. Got to use it in the truest sense of the word, religiously, at the start of the year to make sure things get back on track so that everybody else can feel comfortable in their roles, because it might take some time for those players to do so. Going to be interesting to see how that develops for Mizzou. But not great news coming out of the very end, it seems, of spring practice. This is the last week of it. Tigers going to have a pro day for the aspiring NFL prospects from Mizzou and also kind of surrounding area. They let the smaller schools and the players from there also get a chance to come to the facility and have a pro day. So that'll be Friday. And that's kind of the end of the spring practice period. And then it'll be off to, they'll do stuff in the summer, but then fall camp, and we'll see how that looks for Mizzou this year. Key year for Eli Drinkwitz as he tries to bounce back from what was maybe seen as a little disappointing of a year. Not a bad year. Like, we can still call it good. 8-4, good. 8-4 going forward is definitely going to be good, because that means you at least won more of your conference games than you lost. So we'll see what it looks like for Eli Drinkwitz's group this time around. But anytime Eli Drinkwitz speaks about the future of college sports, it's usually pretty interesting, and he did so again with Chris Lowe of On3 Sports. We'll talk more about whether we agree of his characterization of college football and maybe it following the vein of Major League Baseball going forward, how Eli Drinkwitz characterized that, and a lot more as we roll along here on The Big Show after this live local sports center.
Now, your local sports center update on your total sports station, KTGR.
Good afternoon. I'm Andy Humphrey. This Sports Center update is with Lee's Tire Company. If it's round and rubber, Lee sells it. Go to leestirecompany.com. Again, both Mizzou Diamond sports teams in action right now. Mizzou softball won earlier today in their first game of a doubleheader against Illinois in Champaign. They won that with a 3-0 shutout, and they appear to be in good position to get the doubleheader sweep. Last update in the top of the 6th inning, Mizzou had an 8-3 lead over the Illini. So the Tigers looking for a bragging rights sweep in that doubleheader at Illinois this afternoon. Meanwhile, in Mizzou baseball's rivalry game today at Kansas, that is not currently going the Tigers' way. Kansas has an 8-0 lead over the Tigers in the top of the 5th inning. That game being played in Lawrence. Was supposed to be yesterday, but they moved it back because of weather. And so Tigers maybe looking to try and mount a big comeback. Kansas scored 3 runs in the first and 5 in the 3rd inning. Meanwhile, Matthew Liberatore has been named the Cardinals opening day starter. Liberatore entering his 5th major league season, went 8-12 in 29 starts last year with an ERA of 4.21. Cardinals home opener is next Thursday at Busch Stadium at 3:15 against the Rays. Now your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast.
I'm ABC 17 Storm Track Chief Meteorologist Jessica Hafner. I'm tracking a mild night as temperatures will be a little bit warmer, cool enough for a light layer in the morning as we drop down to about 44 under mostly cloudy skies. Tomorrow we clear out. We'll see highs back up into the 70s with a high near 74. Getting towards Friday, it's even warmer. Morning temperatures around 48 with a high near 80 degrees under sunny skies. I'm ABC 17 Storm Track Chief Meteorologist Jessica Hafner, and that's your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast on your total sports station, KTGR.
The madness.
Fair to the rim for the flush.
Starts.
Robinson open 3, launches.
Bang! Now.
Mitchell puts up a 3-pointer. Good! And Missouri wins it.
It's the NCAA tournament. Join us Friday. The Tigers, the Hurricanes, live from the Enterprise Center in St. Louis. Our coverage begins at 8:30 on your home for Mizzou basketball.
Mid-Missouri's total sports station, KTGR.
The nominations are in. Now it's time to pick the winners. Now through April 12th, you'll decide the winners for Inside Columbia Magazine's Best of Columbia 2026. Vote up to once per day for the businesses and places you love, including Best Coffee, Best Auto Repair, Best Brunch Menu, or Best Dispensary. You can vote once per day, so come back and support the businesses you love most. Best of Columbia 2026 starts with you. Vote now through April 12th for your favorites at InsideColumbia.net.
Okay, we now have Steve from Steve's Pest Control. He'll be addressing your questions on the spring invasion. Steve.
Front corner, Steve. Front corner. I have a question, Steve.
Hi, let's start with you, sir, in the third row.
Last year's fall invasion was terrifying for many families. How do you propose we deal with the invaders this spring?
Well, not to worry. First thing, just call us to Steve's Pest Control. We'll get you started on a 5-star Advantage plan.
Steve, is it true that the pests are becoming self-aware?
No, not really, no.
And that they're trying to enslave the entire human race?
That's fake news.
Steve, I'm over here, back corner.
Steve. But Steven, is it true that there could be hundreds of termites living underneath my home?
Honestly, it's more like millions. Folks, it's okay. All you have to do is calmly, quietly pick up your phone and call us at Steve's Pest Control. We're going to solve your pest problem and keep you protected. I guarantee it.
Now you got a friend in the pest control business. Steve's Pest Control.
Hi, I'm Sarah Sticklin-McDonald.
And I'm Charlie Sticklin with the Sticklin & Sticklin Law Firm.
And I'm Mizzou Softball's Natalie Touche. At Sticklin & Sticklin, all we do is personal injury.
We've earned millions for our clients since 1991.
On the diamond, I trust my team. Off the diamond, I trust Sticklin & Sticklin. Don't let the insurance companies strike you out. Let Sticklin & Sticklin go to bat for you. Sticklin & Sticklin, it's a home run.
Hi, we're Midway Electric. And since you've got a nice large tax return this year, you've got the ability to put it towards something that lasts, like updating your bathroom with modern light fixtures or new kitchen lighting that pops. And Midway Electric is the team of pros you can trust to bring those dreams to life. From custom lighting to complete electrical upgrades, Midway Electric helps transform the spaces you use every day. Midway Electric, powered by people with pride. MidwayElectricInc.com.
Just like you, 1851 Underground Tap and Grill is excited about watching Mizzou hoop it up in March this year. So put on your black and gold, grab your brackets, and meet your friends at 1851 Underground. With daily drink specials and half-off select appetizers for happy hour, it's a perfect place to take in the tournament. They've also got great Saturday specials on Bloody Marys and mimosas. It's no secret, but it is underground. 1851 Underground Tap and Grill in the historic Brick District, downtown Fulton. 1851underground.com.
Small businesses are the backbone of any successful community. We know, because we're a small business too. We cherish the people who live and work here, which is why we partner with so many businesses to help them grow. And over the years, we've raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for our local children's hospital, our food bank, Central Missouri Honor Flight, and True North. If you want to work with a group of people who believe that giving is always better than getting, contact Zimmer Communications today or learn more at ZimmerCommunications.com.
If it's Mizzou sports, it's happening here. Now, back to the big show on KTGR.
Thanks for joining us here on the big show, KTGR and the KTGR app. Again, we'll hope to have Brendan back soon, but appreciate you hanging out with me today. And appreciate Gabe DeArmond joining us earlier at PowerMizzou.com. Again, you'll find that on our podcast page. Actually, it's up right now, so you can go and check it out if you missed it. Hey, by the way, good luck to Missouri State basketball. The women's team made a pretty incredible run in the Conference USA tournament just not too long ago. They were the 6th seed there, and they ran through that tournament, won the championship, got the auto bid, and they're playing tonight in the women's tournament first four. They get an 8 p.m. game tonight. They're playing Stephen F. Austin. They'll play that in Austin. The winner takes on, I believe, Texas after that. So Missouri State or Stephen F. Austin will be moving on there. But pretty impressive first year in the Conference USA for Missouri State women's hoops. So we'll see how they do tonight as they look to advance themselves into the round of 64 of the women's NCAA tournament. And, of course, Mizzou Women's Hoops plays tomorrow. They're in the WBIT at Seton Hall in their first postseason action in, I believe, 3 years. So a chance for them to get some more games in. And that'll be good news for Kelly Harper's group. We'll hope to talk to Brad Trinago tomorrow, voice of Mizzou Women's Hoops, to preview that matchup. You'll hear it on KTGR with coverage beginning at 5:45. So be sure to join us tomorrow for that. But let's get to this piece from Chris Lowe of On3 Sports when he talked to Eli Drinkwitz and kind of profiled a lot of what his program has done recently. And he talked mostly about, the stability that Eli Drinkwitz is wanting to continue in this program, and knowing that they've still got a ways to go. And there's a larger conversation about that. On3 did highlight a strand of the piece, which it's a long piece. Go and read it, though. It's good stuff. You do have to go through the paywall from On3 Sports, but still well worth it. One of the quotes that they did showcase, though, whenever Eli Drinkwitz is asked about the future of college sports, he usually has something interesting to say. And here's what he said potentially about that. Kind of a warning, maybe, to how things are playing out in his eyes. He said this, quote, if you're going to have teams that have $45 million rosters competing against teams that have $15 million, $20 million rosters, you're going to run the risk of turning into Major League Baseball, where you have the LA Dodgers and the Florida Marlins. And that's a professional league that's not growing, that's struggling in their TV deals, end quote. So kind of juxtaposing it to the disparity we see in Major League Baseball, where there is clearly no salary cap, and what college football is right now, where they say there's a salary cap, and technically there is for the schools and the revenue that they get for their athletic departments and what they're allowed to share from that revenue directly to the athletes now that they're allowed to do it. But there are other funds too. There are other ways to get these players paid with NIL and third-party funds. And now that there's no limit. You can have as much as you want. And so he's saying that because baseball doesn't really have much control over how the salaries get or how large they get, that's part of the reason why he claims at least that it's stagnating and that they're struggling to get their TV deals done and they have to shift this year. And you're going to see baseball games on different platforms than what you have seen in the past. And that might be a bit of a change. That's a huge conversation when it comes to the CBA. Does it mean that MLB is stagnant? I mean, I think there's growing excitement for the game. I think the World Baseball Classic kind of showcased that. So I don't know if I totally agree with the premise of just comparing it to that league. I do agree that, look, there are haves and have-nots in college football, very clearly, even in the NIL space. Now, what NIL has done is that has allowed the previous have-nots that maybe they played by the rules before, maybe they didn't, but now there are no rules, essentially, and so they can be brazen about paying large amounts of money to these players to get them in the room and have a team that competes right away. More so than we have seen in any other era of college sports, you can do that as quickly as possible. It does mean that there are still disparities. It doesn't mean that every school has unlimited money. There are still schools that have a whole lot more. And it would seem that Mizzou is not necessarily part of the group that has every dollar that they could imagine or every dollar that they would want. And so I can understand a coach in Eli Drinkwitz's position wanting to maybe see if there's a way that you can even that out a little bit and limit what teams can spend. At the same time, are we going to be able to see that? Can you enforce that? That's going to be hard to do now that everything is out in the open. And how can you tell a college football player that, oh, no, actually, you're not worth this, when another coach and another program might say, oh, yeah, you are. Again, they're worth what people are willing to pay them. And so far, that has meant that starting quarterbacks are at least seven figures, right? That go through the portal and they try to find a new school and they are able to get pretty lucrative deals for doing so. I don't know the fix to going back to what it was or having a set of dollars for sure that, like, hey, this is all you get for creating your roster. Go do it. And everybody gets the same amount. or can spend up to the same amount. I don't know if we'll ever truly get to that under this current regime. I will say it shouldn't stay this way. Like, it should be better. We should have guardrails on NIL going forward. This has been happening at the same time as a time where the sport is being watched by more people. It is more popular than it has ever been. I agree that I understand that that may not mean that the players and the coaches and the administrators all have easier jobs because their sport is more popular, and maybe it's not the best setup for them down the line, but it's hard to say no to the extra money that then brings into the sport. So it's still a balance that has to be struck there. Again, full piece you can find on On3 and see how Eli Drinkwitz kind of characterized it. I don't know if it was fair to bring Major League Baseball into the situation and say clearly that's a league that hasn't got it figured out. I think for the most part, like they've come this far and it's been pretty good. It's not perfect by any means, and maybe a salary cap fixes it. I'm not sure. I think you more so need to fix the mindset of the owners and the fact that they are content with how things go, and as long as they are, nothing's going to change when it comes to that. They still get gobs of money for owning Major League Baseball teams, even when it's not beneficial for everybody involved. So I don't know if comparing it to that sport is correct, but I do agree that maybe things need to be a little more even across the board to be truly invested in this sport every single year. Of course, you listen to this station. You listen from Mizzou Talk. That's going to happen anyway because you love Mizzou. So we go along. But interesting thoughts from Eli Drinkwitz. He's always going to have some thoughts on the future of college sports, and it's always going to be worth listening to. Thanks for joining us today. We're back tomorrow at 4. Tune on the KTGR app right now to hear the conclusion of Mizzou baseball at Kansas, and we'll see you tomorrow. I'm Andy. We're done for now.
My name is Max Volkner. I'm a marketing consultant with Zimmer Communications. Working as a